Time for Financial Focus now with our analyst Steve Budin, and we got a bunch of things to talk about on this Monday. I got the Dow live behind us here. The Dow's down 83, but it's actually had a pretty good time lately.
Yeah, the first quarter of the year is over, if you can believe that.
No.
I know, tell me. First quarter was pretty good, and at the beginning of the year, we were doing some segments on Trump's agenda. We had a new president. There's all kinds of euphoria when that happens. Now the rubber's going to meet the road. So in the first quarter, the markets were up mid to single high digits, which is pretty good. But if you project that over a full year, very tough to do. You're talking 20 to 30% returns. Sometimes the laws of math catch up, and that gets tougher and tougher to accomplish. But first quarter was good. Good time to open up your investment statements when you get them.
All right, so what are some things that we need to look out for now for quarter two?
Yeah, the second quarter I think could be a little bit more bumpy. The news just came out that the Democrats have enough votes to filibuster the Supreme Court nominee, Neil Gorsuch. So depending on how that plays out this week, you know, how much goodwill is going to get lost if the Republicans push through the nominee with unconventional means, right? So then if you need the Democrats for tax reform, trade issues, health care bill is supposedly going to be reissued. You know, if you don't get the Democrat support, where you're going to get legislation passed. So I think the second quarter could get a little bit more bumpy than the first quarter.
And what about, I mean, I know we've talked jobs in the past, but things are looking pretty good for that too?
Yeah, and that's the thing. The job reports continue to be well, but how long that can continue is anybody's guess. You know, the reports come out are giving us reports from last month, not going forward.
Sure. Okay. All right. Well, also this week, Donald Trump, our president, is going to meet with the president of China.
Right.
It's a big deal, and that could cause a little bit of, you know, shift or whatever, shake up in the market maybe.
Yeah. No, and this is where campaigning and governing diverge. You know, on the campaign trail, Trump was railing against the Chinese, calling them manipulators of their currency, unfair trade practitioners. Now you're meeting the president of China face to face. It's a whole nother situation, right? You could say anything you want behind somebody's back. Now you're at a table negotiating, and throw North Korea into the mix, where Trump over the weekend said, you know, if the Chinese don't help us, we'll do something by ourselves. The markets listen to all this, and depending on how this meeting at the end of the week goes, next week could get bumpy for the markets too, because, you know, two of the largest economies in the world need to get along for the world economy and markets to do well.
We have about 30 seconds. I know last week we talked all about the stadium. Any feedback from folks around town when they stopped you? I mean, seemed to be, you know, for it, most people.
Yeah, everybody's excited. We'll see what happens if it can get done. It looks good. The next couple of years is the big question mark. Where do the Raiders play? When are we going to break ground on the stadium? I'm sure we'll be reporting on it, but most of the feedback I've heard has been good, and I tend to agree.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. All right, thanks so much, Steve, for joining us. Of course, we'll see Steve